In this final episode, we're going to focus on what happens when all your studying meets the clock. The GISF exam is not just a knowledge test. It is also a focus and decision-making test under time pressure. Many strong students miss questions not because they lack understanding, but because they rush, overthink, or misread subtle wording. Exam day tactics are about managing your pace, controlling your stress, and applying structured reasoning to each question. You already know the core concepts: CIA, risk, identity, web vulnerabilities, post-exploitation tactics, cloud controls, and defensive technologies. Now the goal is to make sure that knowledge shows up clearly when you need it. Calm pacing, smart elimination, and confident final checks are habits you can practice deliberately, and they often make the difference between a near pass and a solid pass. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Let's begin with calm pacing, because everything else depends on it. When the exam starts, there is often a rush of adrenaline. Your heart rate rises, and your brain wants to move quickly. That reaction is normal, but speed without structure leads to mistakes. A better approach is to treat the exam like a steady walk rather than a sprint. Quickly scan the total number of questions and the time available so you know your average pace. You do not need to calculate down to the second. You just need a sense of rhythm. If you find yourself spending too long on a single question early on, mark it and move forward. Getting stuck drains confidence and steals time from easier questions later. Calm pacing is about protecting your mental energy. You want to answer the questions you can answer confidently first and return to the harder ones with a clearer head. Now let's talk about reading discipline, which is one of the most underrated exam skills. Many exam questions are not designed to trick you, but they are written carefully. A single word like most, least, first, or best can change the meaning of the correct answer. Before you even look at the answer choices, read the question stem fully and identify what it is truly asking. Is it asking about prevention, detection, or recovery? Is it asking for the root cause or the most immediate action? Is it asking about reducing likelihood or reducing impact? Under pressure, your brain may latch onto familiar words like MFA, SIM, or encryption and jump to an answer. Slow yourself down just enough to map the scenario to the correct category. If a question describes altered records, think integrity. If it describes unauthorized viewing, think confidentiality. Let the core concepts guide you before the answer options influence you. Smart elimination is your most powerful tool when you are unsure. Even if you do not know the correct answer immediately, you can often identify one or two choices that are clearly wrong. For example, if a scenario describes a web application failing to enforce permissions and one answer talks about improving physical security in a data center, that is likely irrelevant. Eliminate it. If a scenario is about detecting lateral movement, and one answer focuses only on encryption at rest, that may not address the core issue. Elimination narrows the field and increases your odds. More importantly, it clarifies your thinking. Once you remove obvious mismatches, the remaining choices become easier to compare. Often the correct answer is the one that best aligns with the specific risk described, not the one that sounds the most technical or impressive. Another powerful tactic is distinguishing between technically correct and most appropriate. On foundational exams, multiple answers may contain true statements. The key is identifying which answer best addresses the scenario. For example, if a question describes a successful phishing attack leading to credential misuse, several controls might help in general. However, if the question asks for the most effective preventive control, MFA may be more appropriate than improved log monitoring, because MFA reduces the chance of credential reuse even if the password is stolen. When you feel torn between two reasonable options, ask which one most directly addresses the described risk. Return to the scenario and look for the core weakness. This habit keeps you from overvaluing broad or generic answers. Watch for scope mismatches, because they often signal incorrect answers. If a question describes a problem at the application layer, an answer focused purely on network perimeter defense may be too narrow or misplaced. If a question describes insider misuse of legitimate access, an answer about blocking external IP addresses may not fit. Scope mismatches happen when the answer operates at the wrong layer. Use the layered model you learned earlier: identity, application, endpoint, network, data, and governance. Ask yourself which layer the problem belongs to. Then choose the answer that addresses that layer most directly. This method reduces confusion and keeps your reasoning grounded in structure rather than guesswork. Time management near the end of the exam deserves special attention. As the clock winds down, anxiety can increase. Some students rush the final questions. Others freeze. A better strategy is to maintain the same structured approach you used at the beginning. If you marked questions for review, return to them in order of how confident you feel you can resolve them. Sometimes a later question triggers memory that helps with an earlier one. If you are truly unsure between two choices, eliminate as much as possible and then choose the answer that aligns best with core principles like least privilege, defense in depth, or risk reduction. Avoid changing answers unless you have a clear, logical reason. First instincts are often correct when they are based on understanding rather than panic. Confident final checks are about verifying, not rethinking everything. If time allows, review questions where you felt rushed. Reread the stem carefully and confirm that your answer matches what is being asked, not what you assumed was being asked. Look for subtle qualifiers like not, except, or primarily. Make sure your chosen answer does not contradict a key detail in the scenario. Do not second-guess yourself simply because an answer seems too simple. Foundational exams often reward clear, principle-based reasoning rather than the most complex-sounding control. If an answer directly aligns with the risk described and matches core security logic, simplicity is a strength, not a weakness. It is also important to manage your internal dialogue. Negative thoughts like "I should know this" or "I am running out of time" can disrupt focus. Replace them with structured thinking. What category is this question in? What is the primary risk? Which control type applies? By turning anxiety into analysis, you regain control. Breathing steadily and briefly pausing between difficult questions can reset your focus. The exam is not a race against other candidates. It is a structured challenge where calm reasoning consistently outperforms frantic recall. Remember that you have already practiced spaced retrieval across multiple domains. Trust that preparation. One final tactic is to anchor every difficult question to a simple decision rule. If the question is about protecting data, think least privilege and proper access control first. If it is about detecting suspicious behavior, think layered visibility and correlation. If it is about preventing phishing impact, think strong authentication and user verification habits. If it is about cloud misconfiguration, think shared responsibility and guardrails. These anchors guide you when details feel overwhelming. They prevent you from chasing distractors and keep you aligned with foundational principles. By the end of this course and this final lesson, you should feel equipped not just with definitions, but with a structured way of thinking. Calm pacing protects your time and mental clarity. Smart elimination improves your odds and sharpens reasoning. Confident final checks ensure your answers match the question being asked. The ultimate decision rule for exam day is this: read carefully, classify the risk using core principles, eliminate mismatched options, and choose the answer that most directly reduces the described risk while staying aligned with foundational security logic.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.